At this time, I would like to turn the conference call over to Anthony Mazuka. Please go ahead, sir.
Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us today. Going to skip all the preambles and hand it right over to Bellator CEO Bjorn Rebney.
Hey, thanks, Anthony. We've got an incredible season coming up, and in my mind, it's the best season we've ever done by far. March 7th, we got the Dantas versus Silva Bantamweight World title fight and the kickoff of what should be just a wrecking ball of an 8-man heavyweight opening round. March 14th, we got the trilogy fight between Strauss and Curran for the featherweight world title and the opening round of our welterweight tourney. March 21st, the light heavyweight world titles on the line when Veg faces Newton for the second time, and the opening round of our lightweight tournament. March 28th, the middleweight world title fight, Shlemenko Ward. That should be fireworks. Cannot wait for that fight. And then April 4th, Vitaly Menikov defends his world title at heavyweight against Jet Congo. So we are locked and loaded. Could not be more excited about what we're doing with Spike and what we've got programmed coming up starting in February. But on February 28th, there's been a lot of Twitter conversation, a lot of questions I've had asked about what we're kicking off with on February 28th. And on our premiere on Spike, I've got the most competitive and compelling light heavyweight tournament that we have ever done. The gentleman sitting next to me, partner and friend Quentin Rampage Jackson, is going to take a shot to try to earn a spot to fight for our world title. Christian Mpumbu, our former world champion, is going to face Rampage in the first round of that tournament. Michael Zayats, who is a monster, and a lot of American fans haven't gotten a great chance to see fight on Spike, but you will get to see him fight in the first round of this tournament against King Mo Lawal. It is the deepest tournament we've ever done. It's the most competitive tournament we've ever done at light heavyweight. Really excited about it. Been working on it for a long time. And without further ado, I will turn it over to the gentleman sitting to my right, Quentin Rampage Jackson, to talk about this tourney.
Good morning, everybody. That's how you do. Just keep on. Well, I just want to say good morning, everybody. This is Rampage Jackson, and I'm very excited to do my first tournament in years. Bellator has the toughest tournament on the planet, and this is how you know that you are really the champion if you win this thing, and that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to show the world that I'm back, 100% healthy, I'm motivated, and it's very bad 205 in this tournament. I'm gonna come and take over. I only got one thing in my mind now. Let's get in that belt. Now I'm in it to win it. I think I'm fighting a guy named Christian Abubu. And that's what's going to happen. I'm going to make him boo-boo on himself. I'm going to swing them things, try to knock everybody out. I'm going to win this tournament by everybody going to sleep. I'm done talking now.
That's it, guys. We'll open it up to questions. So, Melissa, you can start the queue, and we'll start taking questions.
Thank you. If you'd like to ask a question, please signal by pressing *1 on your telephone keypad. If you're using a speakerphone, please make sure your mute function is turned off to allow your signal to reach our equipment.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Question for Rampage. Can you tell us, first of all, in the opening round, you have Mpumbu. What do you know about him as a fighter? And other than you already said you want to knock him out, what do you see your advantages over him?
Well, I know that Mpumbu is a Gemini like myself. No, I'm joking. I know, hey, he's tough. He's a tough guy. He's a kickboxer, stuff like that. I just know a little bit about this guy. You know what I'm saying? He's a man. He's a former champion. So, he got the heart of the lion. He got the heart of the champion. And I'm just going to go and do my thing and be myself and just try to show him who's the man. And it's me.
Okay, now.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah. Now, in the second round, I don't know exactly when that fight is going to be. There's a possibility you could face King Mo, whom you've had some dealings with before. What would that be? It seems you've been on friendlier terms recently. How would that fight go, and how would that affect your dealings with him?
Well, there's no secret that King Mo didn't see eye to eye years ago. I don't know what his problem was, but when we both signed to MMA Elite, the owner asked us to be civil because we had to sit next to each other and do autograph signings, and we did so. We're human beings. We're not wild animals. King and I, we don't hang out, we don't go clubbing and stuff together. So he's a fighter just like I am. If King Mo step in that cage with me, I'm gonna try to knock King Mo out. There ain't no secret that I try to knock people out. And, you know, I'm sure King Mo can respect that. As long as he keep his mouth shut, he keep his opinions to himself, and I won't try to kill him.
Okay, and last thing, why did you decide to enter the tournament? Because I think when you signed with Bellator, you seemed to indicate that you weren't as interested in going into a tournament. Now, obviously, you're going to be in this light heavyweight tournament.
Yeah, I wasn't interested in going to the tournament. The only reason why I wasn't interested in going to the tournament because I like for the tournaments to be like, you know, like how Pride was, like you fight 2 days and two fights in 1 day and stuff like that. But then my manager told me that that I should fight in this tournament so I can get the belt and be champion. And you know what I'm saying? I'm like, well, you know what? Why not be champion? There's a lot of stuff that comes with that championship belt. That, you know, a lot of things that you guys don't really understand. I'm not going to go in at it right now, but my manager kind of talked me into it. He said, listen, you know what I'm saying, this is the toughest tournament right now in MMA, and you want to establish yourself as, you know what I'm saying, back on top of the food chain. You win this tournament, and everybody sees that, come on, you champion of Bellator, you win the tournament. And, you know, my manager got a way of talking me into doing anything he wanted me to do anyway. So, you know what I'm saying, he was trying to talk me into wearing a pink tutu while I was in the tournament. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of went against that, but at least I'm in the tournament, so I'm going to be champion of this Bellator tournament because I'm not stopping at nothing. Not Chrisman Boo or nobody can stop me.
All righty, thank you. Good luck. Looking forward to it.
And we'll take our next question from Jonathan King with the Clinch Report.
Yeah, how you doing, everybody? Rampage, question for you. You touched on it a little bit earlier. Earlier in your career, you were featured in the Pride tournaments, several fights in 1 day. Now that you're a little bit older, you have a lot more mileage on your body. How do you think your body's going to react to having to fight a couple times in a short period of time? Especially, you know, like with the names Bjorn mentioned. None of these guys are tomato cans. So how do you think your body will react to fighting 2 fights in a short period of time?
Well, you know what? I was thinking about that. I think it's probably better for me. Hold on 1 second. I think it's better for me to fight closer to each other so I stay in shape and everything, and they keep me more disciplined. And as long as the fights are, you know, as long as you don't get too banged up in fights, then it's a good thing. But if I get banged up in fights, then it's a bad thing. But you know what I'm saying? It's only one way to find out. You go and do it. That's what people like me to do. We go and we do the things we want to do because we can do it.
All right. And last question for Rampage. Is there still a chance, or do you still want to get in the cage with Tito at some point in time?
I'm not interested in that.
No?
I'm worried about Christian Bubu right now. He's the only person on my mind right now. This Christian Bubu.
And how did you say that again?
You heard me, Christian Bubu.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And we'll take our next question from Steven Morocco with MMAJunkie.com.
A quick housekeeping question. Do you have a city and a venue for that for the first round of the light heavyweight tournament?
Absolutely. We're kicking off at Mohegan Sun. Had huge success with Mohegan Sun over the last number of years. I think we may have done more events there than anywhere. Last show we had there was a monster success for us. It's right outside. You know, it's a quick jaunt, hour and 30 minutes outside of New York and Providence and Boston. Hits everything. Great setup, beautiful place for us to have this show. Pre-sales are already going on the undercard. Great. So we'll be at Mohegan right in the middle of the Media Mecca Center.
Are 4-man tournaments sort of the way things are going to be going from here, especially in the heavier weight classes right now?
Now, you know, we're kicking off the heavyweight tournament that's kicking off on the same show that Dantes faces Silva for the bantamweight tournaments in 8-man. we'll do the 4-man at light heavy. We may do a 4-man at middleweight later in the season. But, it's just a matter of keeping the guys busy. It's a matter of keeping the champions defending their belts, 3 times or more per year. And it serves a great purpose for us. The timing on this worked out great. And like I said, when you look at this lineup, a former champion, 2 former tournament finalists, Zayats is an unknown jewel, and you got, Quentin Rampage Jackson back 110%, knees ready to go, ready to rock and roll. So it made a lot of sense to go real deep in terms of qualitative level and kick this thing off with any guy that could win it.
Rampage, how was it getting back in there after so many questions about your future, getting back in there and beating Joey Beltran the way that you did?
Well, it felt good getting back in there. I felt like that night I would have beat anybody that was up in the cage with me. It's just unfortunate for Joey Beltran that he had to step up at the last minute to fight me, but I give people like him much respect because he could have came out and been one of those guys who just tried to play it safe and just make the money, but he went there to become a warrior, and he did that. So it felt good for me being back in the cage and going to work again. I'll tell you that.
Are you continuing the Orthokin treatment? Is that an ongoing thing?
You only need it when you need it.
Okay. Do you anticipate needing it for this tournament?
I don't think I need it for this tournament. I think I'm still good. My knees still reacting fine. They still feel great. I'm running. I'm doing all the stuff I was doing when after I took it. So I'm great.
After the Beltran fight and the thing that happened with Tito and all that, was boxing Roy Jones Jr. did that ever come back across the radar, or was that just kind of a one-time little flirtation?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything else from Jones. I don't know what's going on.
Okay. I'll hop off so other people can ask. Thanks very much.
And we'll take the next question from Steve Juan with Wrestling Observer.
Thank you, operator. My first question is for Rampage. And Rampage, you've given Christian Mpumbu his respect as a former champion, but you also are facing a man that's on a 2-fight losing streak. Do you think that maybe he's a little overmatched going against you?
Oh, no, you know what? That's what, fans think. We only as good as our last fight, and he lost his last 2, and, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes, that inspires you, and that makes you train harder. That sometimes it, like some fire up on your ass, make you want to get out there. So I don't ever think about that type of stuff. It might make him more dangerous that he lost 2 fights in a row.
Do you also think he'll be more dangerous if he takes the boo-boo thing personally, or are you not worried about that?
Well, why do I care about that? I'm a fighter. Whatever's going to happen in that cage is going to happen. You know what I'm saying? People shouldn't take anything I say personally, because if you know me for years, I like to joke around and I like to laugh. So if anybody take anything I say personally about them, their name, their breath, their body odor, their clothes, their shoes they wear, then it should reflect on them, because me, I just like to make people laugh. And his name is kind of complicated for me to pronounce. I've never seen before, so.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to that fight. And one quick question for Bjorn Rebney. With the recent announcement of the Kern versus Strauss rematch, do you think that we're going to see more immediate title rematches in the future, or are most people still going to have to go through a tournament like Rampage is doing?
It's really going to depend on the circumstance. It's really going to depend on, the totality of the circumstance. I've got to step back and kind of analyze everything. Like with the Strauss rematch with Curran, I had to weigh and balance the power of the trilogy. I had to look at, their first fight, Pat knocked out Daniel. In the second fight, Daniel ground out the W. And as I look at those 2 guys, and then I look at Pitbull, I see in my mind, and again, we can debate this kind of stuff till we're blue in the face, but I see in Strauss and Curran 2 of the top 5 or 6 featherweights on the face of the earth. So to have the opportunity to settle this once and for all, to have a legitimate trilogy fight between one guy who's won by knockout and one guy who's, in typical Daniel fashion, ground out a victory, it's a good opportunity. And then, I got to weigh and balance the Pitbull issue as well. and Pitbull fought for us 5 times on Spike in 2013. And, you know, he's a world-class fighter as well, and I appreciate the fact his enthusiasm and wanting to fight all the time. But, you know, we've done an amazing job keeping him busy. And you know, to be super clear, Pitbull hasn't lost his world title fight. Pitbull will get his world title fight. He's just going to get it this spring against the winner of Strauss versus Curran when we finalize that trilogy. So lots of different weigh and balance factors. And every time something like this comes up, you know, Kongo Minikov may be an incredible world title fight at heavyweight. We may do a rematch on that. We may not do a rematch on that depending on how it turns out and everything that surrounds it. So, you know, it's just a weigh and balance of a lot of different factors. But, you know, when it makes sense and, you know, we weigh all those factors, yeah, we'll do it.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
But
I'll take our next question from Jason Floyd with the MMA Report.
Thanks, guys. First off, Bjorn, a little bit of follow-up on that last question. Protocol Live, you had mentioned that he's had some visa issues. Where does his visa issue stand?
It's not in a good place. You know, look, when you're dealing with the government trying to uncover what is the catalyst behind guys not being allowed to come into the U.S., you know, they don't typically email you and give you all the specifics. But we cannot get him into the United States. We thought long and hard about getting him into Canada and trying to do something up on the Rama show with him. But now we're even there's questions as to whether we can even get him into Canada. So at this point, we don't know. He's just on hold. I mean, you know, look, he won that tournament long before Pitbull or anybody else had won a tournament, but the guy just literally can't get into the U.S. at this point or Canada. So we're going to wait, see what happens, keep working with our immigration attorneys and try to get him in. And when and if he gets the green light, hopefully he does. He's a wickedly talented fighter. We'll put him into the mix. But for right now, Strauss Curran will go off on the 14th, and then Pitbull will face the winner.
For this light heavyweight tournament, do you have a target date of when the finals would be?
TBD. You know, my hope and anticipation, barring injury, is it'll happen during season 10. So, you know, that's the way our tournaments work. This is a 4-man, gives us a little bit more time before, between the 2 rounds. So, you know, May time period, April time period, somewhere around there.
A couple of weeks ago, it came out that Doug Marshall had tested positive for a banned substance at your season 9 finale. It was really the first time we've seen a Bellator guy be revealed that he tested positive. What are some of your thoughts on the current drug testing policy, and do you have some of the comments that have been going on between George St. Pierre and the UFC?
Yeah, you know, first and foremost on drug testing, there's a lot of commissions around the country, as you saw with Doug's positive test, who are testing very aggressively. I think the vast majority of commissions that we're going to now have a proactive testing policy in place. So that's a good thing. It evens the playing field. It eliminates anybody's ability to get an unfair advantage. So that's a huge positive. We support it where and when we're asked by different commissions to support it from an economic perspective. We're supporting it from an economic perspective. You know, look, we can't mandate the commissions on who tests and who doesn't, but the overwhelming majority now are California shows, our shows coming up at WinStar. There's a lot of different, obviously, our Mohegan shows, et cetera, et cetera. New Jersey shows are all testing. So, you know, my hope is that we don't see positive tests. My hope is that everybody runs it clean and does what they're supposed to do in preparation. But, you know, guys are going to get nabbed. It's just the nature of the game. Some guys are going to cheat. That's the nature of sport. So, you know, yeah, I mean, look, I do have an opinion on some of the comments that have been going back and forth with GSP. I mean, it's just, you know, the UFC set the bar pretty high in terms of tasteless comments, but their recent comments about GSP are probably, in my mind, the most tasteless comments they've made in some time. I look at GSP, the guy's one of the greatest, most honorable champions our sport's ever seen. And in my opinion, and this again is just my opinion, I don't think that GSP owes us as fans anything, and I don't think that GSP owes the UFC anything. You know, as we saw based on the fallout from his last fight, he's given us as fans and for the organization that he fought for, he's given everything. So, you know, look, I think we should all, you know, be thankful we had the opportunity to watch a guy like that fight over the last 10 years. You know, it's been our pleasure as MMA fans, and I think that a lot of the issues that he raises and the points that he makes are good points. I mean, he's been a de facto ambassador for our game and a spokesman for the sport at an incredibly high level for a long period of time, and I think I put a lot of credence and credibility in what he's talking about.
Thanks, guys. I'll let some other people get a question in.
Take the next question from Adam Conklin with SciFighting.com.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, my first question is for Rampage. I was wondering, obviously you probably knew about this tournament some time ago, and I was wondering if you took Tyrone Spong's comments on Twitter personally or as a legitimate threat, or if you just kind of pushed him to the back burner.
Man, I just thought that shit was funny. He's just nobody know who he is. I'm concentrating on Christian Mpuku right now. I don't even really care about the other guy. Dude sucks.
Okay, and thank you. And my next question is actually for Mr. Rebney. I was wondering, you've announced, a couple of these events right in a row here, and I heard that you guys were coming back to the Revel. I was wondering if you had any plans for that in Atlantic City.
Yeah, absolutely. And, look, we got our system is one that goes every single week. So as we kick off February 28th in the premiere on Spike from Mohegan, we'll go every week for 3 months. So, and Revel will be one of those events toward the tail end of the season. We'll be announcing all the specifics soon, but Revel's been an amazing casino partner to us. The New Jersey Commission is a great commission to work with. And we will absolutely be back to Revel this season. We'll be back to Rama this season. We'll be back to a lot of the places that we go to regularly this season. But, kick off February 28th with Rampage, Christian Mpuku, and Zayats and Mo is what I'm hyper focused on right now. And then all the wicked fights we got coming up in sequence after that.
And, just my last question for Mr. Rebney. I know you're focusing on the split heavyweight tournament, but, with all the talk on Michael Chandler and Eddie Alvarez 3, I was wondering if you could give us any details on that.
Yeah. I'm fortunate to be the guy who's going to be able to put on Alvarez versus Chandler 3 for the lightweight world title. It'll be a pay-per-view event. We haven't finalized the date yet, but it'll be incredible. I mean, look, these two guys, the first fight that they had was the best fight I'd ever seen live. The second fight that they had was one of the best fights I've ever seen. Sometimes guys just match up and stylistically they cannot help but give you just pure magic when they enter the cage. These two guys are that. That last performance that they had November 2nd was, it was heart-wrenching. It's an unbelievable performance. We're going to do the third fight. It'll be a pay-per-view. The lightweight title will be on the line. And I just, I can't wait to see it. Giving them both time to heal. They're both back in camp now. They're both working hard. We just saw Mike a few days ago. He's back in shape and talking to Ed, and he's in shape as well. So it's going to be an amazing fight. I could not be more excited about it. It's going to be an amazing fight.
And that trilogy fight, that'll happen before the lightweight finals?
TBD. I mean, the lightweight finals of the existing tournament could conceptually, based on layout, happen on the same night. Could happen on a Spike pre-show. Could happen as part of the pay-per-view. TBD. But it will happen. It will happen in sequence this season, so we'll be able to see that fight before we go dark this season.
And then, do you have a price point for the pay-per-view? And are you planning on any more throughout the year?
No, look, at this point, that's the one that we've got planned, and that's the one that makes an amazing amount of sense. And price point wise, we're going to apply the same philosophy we did last time. We're going to look to our affiliate partners around the country. We're going to look to everybody from the Time Warners, the In-Demands, the DirecTVs, and the others, and let them work with us as partners to determine the appropriate price point for it. So you'll see different price points around the country.
Okay, thank you to both men. Appreciate it.
Just a reminder, if you have a question, please press star 1, and we'll take our next question from David Meltzer from Wrestling Observer.
Hi, everybody. Couple of questions, real quick. Bjorn, is there any special programming, shoulder programming, reality show, maybe Rampage show or anything like that that's on the schedule in the next couple of months?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a bunch of it. We haven't announced much of it yet, but there'll be a lot of shoulder stuff that we're creating for promotion of the pay-per-view. There'll be a deep dive on Alvarez versus Chandler 3 and their first two epic battles. we'll be doing a standalone Rampage for real, which will be awesome, which has been shooting regularly, and it's just captured some great stuff. And there'll be different pieces that we're creating based on other fighters. It'll be great shoulder stuff that'll complement, the pack season we've got coming up. So yeah, there'll be a lot of different shoulder content. I don't want to jump in front of it and make announcements on stuff before, we've had a chance to fully vet it and announce it, but there'll be a great deal of shoulder programming coming out, to support this season and then bridge between this season and the summer series and next fall.
And okay, so this year, so you're going to be going like basically March, April, May, and then a fall season. So you're going to do a couple of shows in the summer like last year.
Yeah, we'll do a summer series again. Haven't yet determined who's going to be fighting in the summer series or what tournaments we'll do. Summer always lends itself really well to four-mans because it gives you greater flexibility and a little bit more time, in case you get, a 30-day suspension on somebody. And then we'll kick off in the fall and do the full run in the fall as well.
Now, I'm on the Alvarez Chandler, the way you said it, now you didn't directly say it, but it sounded like it's going to be at some point during this season, in the sense of like before May or something like that. And would it be like a Saturday night or a Friday night? Essentially, one of the weekly shows during the season, or would it be a summer series type of show?
Like I said, we still haven't made any kind of an official announcement, and it'd be unfair of me to jump in front of it. With the deep-seated integrated alliances we've got with affiliates around the country, they play an incredibly important role in anything that you're going to do from a premium purchase perspective. So you got to be completely locked and loaded with them in terms of when to announce, how to announce, nights to do it on, what kind of competitive programming there is, where's the right fit, what we can lead into the pay-per-view with in terms of promotion and in terms of events. I mean, that's been part and parcel of my hyper-focus working with our talent development team this season, is creating week after week after week with main events who will draw big numbers. Last fall we had an incredible season and did very, very strong numbers from a cable TV perspective. We're trying to build on that, consistently be improving on that, million plus with your plus threes, your plus sevens. So that's your build. So you're going to see a lot of events build out before this pay-per-view occurs, but we're not yet ready to make the official announcement on what night it'll be on and what the exact date will be.
Also, do you have any matches for the undercard for February 28th? I mean, as far as the other 2 or 3 TV bouts that you might have that night?
Yeah. Anthony will be announcing all of that, but we're going to be kicking off the opening round of an 8-man featherweight tournament. So you'll see the semis of the 4-man light heavyweight tournament, and then you'll see the opening round of an 8-man featherweight tournament. And as stacked as most of these cards are, unfortunately, at least 1 and potentially 2 of the featherweight opening rounds are going to have to be on the .com show. So it gives a huge amount of meat on the bone to the digital platform as well on Spike.com. So it's stacked. Every show we've got coming up, I mean, these first 6 we've announced, and it just gets deeper and deeper as we go deeper into the season.
Okay, and real quick for Rampage. Rampage, do you have any thoughts as far as your tenure in pro wrestling or going back? Is there any time to go back? Is it going back going to be something way down the line, or what's kind of like your thoughts on that little taste that you had of it?
Well, I always wanted to be a pro wrestler, and it was pretty cool being over there and stuff, but I learned a new respect for those guys, and I thought that I can get in there and just do what they did, and it's not true. I have to train it. There's a lot of stuff I have to learn. I grew up pro wrestling with my brothers and sisters my whole life, and I just thought I was going to be a natural. I thought I'd just get in the ring and do it, and I was wrong, so I have to train it. And right now, I got to train for my fight with Christian the Poo Poo, and I got to, do that. So I'm going to focus on this tournament, and after my fight, I'm going to try to learn some pro wrestling stuff.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks everybody, and good luck.
Thanks.
And we'll take a question from Jason Ford with the MMA Report.
His name Christian Poo Poo or Christian Poo Poo?
Bjorn, what is the update stats on Tito Ortiz and his Bellator contract?
Tito's still with us. I've got to sit down and really download with Tito. Like we had discussed when I initially got on the phone with the doctors and Tito announced to us that he'd fractured his neck, that was and is the primary concern. there's not a substantive answer at this point as to whether he's going to come back, and if he did come back, when that would occur. But we're having discussions with him. The key was to get 120% healed. I mean, look, it's an unsettling conversation to have a specialist in the field of neck injuries tell you that with the right kind of drop on the head or the right kind of impact to the spine, paralysis could be a result. That's never a good conversation, A, for a world-class athlete, but B, it's never a good conversation for the person in my position charged with putting that person inside of a cage to fight against top-tier competition. So, look, the concern is still there, but just like any kind of injury or just like any kind of break, he may be able to come back from it, and if he is able to come back from it, then we'll relight the fuse and figure out what the steps are to get him into the cage. But right now there isn't a definitive answer in terms of when he could come back.
Last night on Twitter there was a picture that came out of a promotional cup that is going to be available at Hardee's and Carl's Jr. Is there any more details that you can put out about that?
Boom. How cool is that? Yeah. Carl's Jr. is doing a promotion with Bellator. There are going to be 4 million Bellator 40-ounce cups in all Carl's Jr.'s and Hardee's around the country. That encompasses about 3,000 stores. Nationwide distribution starts on the 29th, but some of the cups have snuck out into the Southern California market.
Wow.
And the restaurants also are going to be handing out coupons at the first 4 Bellator events we do, kicking off with the Mohegan Sun event and then moving to WinStar, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, there's 4 million of those Bellator 40-ounce cups in your local Carl's Jr. and Hardee's restaurants, about 3,000 stores.
I love the Crisco fries.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Good.
Thanks, bud.
The burgers are good.
We'll take our next question from Steven Morocco with MMAJunkie.com.
I wanted to ask you, Bjorn, if you had any sort of, if you spoke to Tito after his DWI, had any interaction with him, what your overall thought is on that whole incident.
I'm torn on the incident. Never a good thing for a world-class athlete to have an injury, especially when he's looking at kind of trying to potentially recapture past glory and get back on a comeback trail. Simultaneously, obviously, take DWIs and drunk driving ridiculously seriously. Tito and I have been texting back and forth. We're going to get together and do a full download on everything that's going on. But, my hope is that he can put that behind him. Thankfully, no one, including himself, was injured in the situation. That's the most, that is the most important thing. But, we'll go through talking about that. We'll go through talking about his injury and the potential for comeback and when that could occur if it can occur. But, it's a serious issue. I mean, it's not a joke. It's a serious issue. It's something we take seriously. It's something everybody should take seriously. So, that's basically my take on it, and then I'll deal with that independently with Tito, and he and I'll go through it and figure out what the next steps are.
So, can you tell me just generally, given that he doesn't really have a timetable for return, like, what's his status with you contractually? Is there a time limit that you have to get him in the cage by? Is it just a certain number of fights? Where does he stand right now?
Well, as is the case with, any one of the 170 plus fighters that we've got under contract, if a fighter becomes injured or is unable to compete, the contract, it's what's called tolling. The contract basically stops until such time as the fighter can compete. And when the fighter can compete, and is 100% cleared, then everything reignites, it starts up again. It's almost like time stops as the fighter recuperates from an injury or gets to a position where he can compete again. So Tito and I got to sit down, work through it, talk about it, and if he's going to get back inside the cage, which is a distinct possibility, figure out what the best launch pad is and how he would want to do that and what makes sense.
Okay. And on the theme of working through it, how are things with Patricio Pitbull right now?
Well, look, part of the allure of Patricio Pitbull is that he is frenetic in his focus. He's one of the best featherweights in the world. He had the loss to Pat Curran, but that was a razor close fight. He's got a win over Daniel Strauss in a decision. And our featherweight division is stacked. So he's got an amazing amount of heart. He's a wickedly talented fighter. He could on any given night beat a Pat Kern or beat a Daniel Strauss, and he'll get that shot. I just, look, there's nothing I respect more than a fighter who consistently wants to fight and wants to fight all the time. So I've got respect for that. At the same time, like I said, a lot of weighing and balancing goes into it. He'll get his world title fight. It'll happen in the spring on a monster big platform, and he did fight for us 5 times on Spike last year, which is a busy schedule. But, I respect the heck out of the fact that 5 times is not enough for Pitbull, and he wants to go more often and more frequently. He's a warrior. So we'll get him in, and when we do get him in, it'll be against Kern or Strauss, and the world title will be on the line.
Okay. And lastly, is any thoughts you want to offer on this whole World Series of Fighting call out as it stands right now? It seems to be persisting with this whole Twitter battle between Spung and Rampage. Your thoughts?
Yeah, look, and I understand the media likes to talk about stuff like this and have fun with it, but with the unveiling that we've just done over the last week or so of Season 10, the best season in our history, the light heavyweight tournament that I just announced today, which is the most competitive we've ever done, featuring, 100% healthy Quentin Rampage Jackson looking to reestablish himself as the best in the world. We're in 140 countries around the world right now and growing. We announced the Fox Alliance, which gives us the biggest distribution in the history of Latin America for MMA. Next week, we're going to be announcing a huge new alliance in the Middle East, which gives us the biggest distribution in the history of Middle East when it comes to MMA. And by the way, we're on Spike, who basically wrote the book on mixed martial arts in terms of distribution in the U.S. and drove the highest rated MMA content with us this fall. So, look, I'm focused on our business. I'm not focused on call outs.
All right. Thanks, Bjorn.
And we'll take our next question from Adam Claflin of FightFighting.com.
I was actually wondering, Rampage, you made your debut back in November. I was wondering what you were doing since your fight with Beltran, in terms of outside of the cage, away from fighting, in your personal life.
My personal life is none of your damn business. No, you know what? I've been staying in the gym, trying to train here and there, and I enjoyed my holidays. And then when the holidays started enjoying me. So now I'm happy to be back in the gym, start back training because I want to turn over a new leaf. I really want to get behind fitness, and I want to be the type of a fighter who stays in the gym year round. I just got to find that discipline. That's what I'm looking for right now. I'm looking for that discipline.
Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Just a reminder, if you have a question, please press star 1.
We'll take a few more questions if anybody has them.
It appears there are no further questions at this time, Mr. Masuka.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us today on this Martin Luther King Day. We appreciate it, and you'll be hearing from us all soon. Bellator Season 10 kicks off February 28th from Mohegan Sun. So thank you guys for joining us.